advantage on the steep rocky section where he knew he'd been stronger. He was testing Absalon all day in that particular section. Well, all race. We don't really race all day. All race he was checking him out, and he could see that he had a strong advantage of him over that technical section, and he set himself up beautifully with a little gap coming into it and extended it. And then poor old Julian Absalon had a bit of a problem where he had to get his foot out and lost a lot of time, and now that's translated into a gap of 10 seconds. So Jose Hermida sitting pretty in 4th place, and Fontana in 5th. Most likely possibility for a change here is whether or not Hermida can pick up the 20 seconds that are down on Kulhavi. He will be able to see him in many sections of the track. 20 seconds is definitely achievable on the last lap. So we'll wait and see if Hermida can in fact peel back that 20 seconds. And he's got only... Well, it's Fontana who has only an 11-second gap over Leferreta. So there's Fontana sitting in 5th in the podium position, but these guys in 6th and 7th are wanting to chase down. There are 3 of them, Leferreta, Tempier and Fumic. We'll see if they're all still together. They're just outside the podium. All of them will be wanting a podium. These are the chasing 3, and they've got 5th place just in front of them. Is the Italian tiring? Are these 3 able to work to get that gap back? When they crossed the line, there was only 11 seconds separating them from a podium. So... very exciting for the final place of the podium. Still to be decided. Barry Stander losing contact with him. There he is going through, and see how far back Todd Wells is. But now up to the top, we see the lead motor going through in the top section, and this will be the final time we see our riders going through this top forest and see what sort of a gap he's got now. We'll be able to watch it clearly if you pick a point, and if you're watching at home with your own watch. No, the camera's sweeping, hard to pick a point, but when he disappears off screen at the end of this section, we'll be able to see what the gap is. You follow the tape down through the forest. Nino Schurter leading the race on the final of 6 laps. And he'll drop out of this section, and then we'll be able to see what sort of gap he's got. They go across the ridgeline here and then sort of descend off the end of it and into the valley. And if you probably pick that white pointer there, pick that white point like the padding or the marshal there, no, it looks like that lead has gone out. So I'm getting that now at about 12 seconds. So just a little bit more of an advantage for Nino Schurter, but it hasn't exploded. It's still manageable for Julian Absalon, but it has to be said, I think the second half of the course does favour the man from Switzerland. And if it did come to a sprint, I would think he'd have the fresher legs and the stronger physique. So really, the odds are against Absalon, but the multiple world champion and Olympic champion can never be discounted. Right now, 3rd place, Yaroslav Kulhavi. Strong ride all day. Have to be impressed with this guy. Fantastic season last year, giving him the number 3 plate for 3rd overall. And he got 2nd of the World Championships, a silver medal there. And, of course, his UCI world ranking right now is number 1. So he is the number 1 ranked rider in the world on the year-long ranking system, not the World Cup competition, but the world ranking. 26 years of age, twice been an Olympian. He didn't finish in Athens, but he did get 18th in Beijing. But I think he's got his sights firmly set on being a 3-time Olympian for the Czech Republic in London next year. Not too many people challenging for that spot from the Czech Republic. So looking good for a 3-time Olympian status. Marco Fontana out of the seat, trying to keep that gap. He's got a chasing group wanting that final spot on the podium. Back now for the final time for the feed zone. These staff working this section are ferried out by organiser vehicles. They took about 90 people out this way earlier today, and they'll all get ferried back. Schurter now into the 2nd feed zone for the very last time. And there's Absalon, so it's almost half a length of a feed zone. Absalon's attacking though. He really wants to get back. This is his favourite section of the course. He led here every lap, so he feels very comfortable up through the rise in the amphitheatre, and he'll try and get back on him through the hairpins. Schurter can feel it. He's out of the seat as well. There it is. There's our race lead to 2nd. That's the gap we're talking about after 1 hour and a half of racing, more or less. It's really coming down to a matter of meters and bike lengths. Lead motor going through in the lower shot in the foreground. And so tantalizingly close for the Frenchman. He can see his main rival just in front, and he just has to bridge that gap to have a chance of winning his 23rd World Cup. Or will it be a World Cup victory for Nino Schurter to put him on 3 victories in his career? And of course that all-important world title that he won in Canberra in 2009. In fact, one of the few riders to have been a junior under 23 and elite world champion. Nino Schurter, 24 at the moment, turns 25 next month, and really a bright future for the sport. Well, he seems to have got a bit of a gap there on the descent because he is a little bit more technically proficient than Absalon. Out of the seat, running the tubular tyres on the hardtail Scott there. Well, it's not over yet, but it's a pretty good break. This now almost the full length of that steep climb. Absalon's got to look up ahead and see just how much distance he's got to make. He's not given up yet. He's really attacking out of the seat. They're not worried about third place at all. It's all come down to these two now. But I have to say, I think with the descent coming up, they really are better odds for the Swiss rider. He's been pretty much in the lead, crossed the line first every lap except the 4th lap when he crossed in second behind Absalon. So he's been quite comfortable in the front of this race and made that break on the descent. It is a tricky descent. Anything can happen. We don't wish that on any rider, but of course mechanical aspects are an important part of this sport, and how you ride through the rock garden. Do you take risks? Do you puncture, risk punctures or having a problem going over the handlebars? But I think Nino Schurter will be smart enough to know how to ride that last section today. So we see Jaroslav Kulhavy climb this little grunty climb for the last time up towards the right-hander at the top. And we'll look back and see Hermida Fontana. Is Fontana now in the clutches of the chasing trio of Lejarreta, Tempier and Manuel Fumic? So just looking at the number of World Cups won by the top men in the world, Julian Absalon is the all-time winner of 22 World Cup wins. Only Brian Lopes has won more in the four-cross and dual. He's had 25, but 22 for men's cross-country to Julian Absalon. It's a bit of a jump back to Thomas Frischneck, the legend, who's won 17 World Cups, and his last one was 10 years ago. So he's been right at the top of that list for a long, long time. Christoph Sauser at 13. His last win was back in 2008. And then you have the pair of Philip Meyerhager and Miguel Martinez, who've won 10 apiece. And then Cadel Evans has won 8 and Rune Hoyerdal 8. So the only big name of current times right over there now, really Julian Absalon and Christoph Sauser. The rest of the guys have only won a few World Cups. So I know that Nino Schurter will be very happy to build on his list. Jose Hermida's won 6. So wouldn't be too surprised if we see Hermida add to that list this year. Julian Absalon, well, the body language there through that section looked pretty resigned to the fact that he may well have second place sewn up and a little chance of catching Nino Schurter. It's not far to go now. We see them come down through the quarry, and it won't be long after that before they head into the finish area at 1:32. So well and truly on target for a sub 1:35, which is what the UCI were predicting. So a great, great start to the season with the riders racing this shorter race distance. It's been pretty exciting with not much happening in the front 2 or 3 for the last lap or so, but definitely a lot happening in the lower half of the top 10. And it was very exciting in the first half, not knowing exactly how that top 3 was going to play out. There's Marco Fontana. See if we can see the chasing trio behind him, or has he managed to maintain that gap? Well, they're staying in now. No longer a trio. Looks like they're a little bit split up. Who's the lead protagonist in the group now? It looks like it's going to be Lejarreta, plate 22. So the Spaniard now wanting to take it up to the Italian, and the Frenchman Tempier coming through for Bianchi just behind them. And it looks like the one who's losing out is Indighi. So Manuel Fumic, the end of that group, and the gap now for Fontana back to Lejarreta is 8 seconds. So definitely achievable as we get up into the rocky section, and not over by any means. Here's Fontana coming down through the rock garden. He did ride this beautifully a couple of laps ago. Again, well, he went close to being very forward on the handlebars on the run down, but he managed to hold it nicely. Lejarreta not as proficient last time I saw him through. Yes, he battles as Tempier takes him on the inside. So now it's Tempier's turn to try and bridge that 8-second gap. So Lejarreta really battling there. Fumic perfect through there. So you can tell a big difference between the technical proficient riders and the ones that are all about power and climbing. So we're back now with our leader through the quarry, which is a much more difficult section than it looks like on television, I can assure you. And he does it so smoothly, so well. We haven't seen any crashes from any of our top riders, both men or women in that section. So hats off to them. Really, really quite proficient. In fact, Cedric Garcia told me the other day that he was amazed at some of the technical skills of these cross-country riders, saying that there was no way that he could do that on a cross-country bike. They really are very, 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 very talented riders. So here we are on Bury Stander now. This is a slow-mo of him going through. Let's see if he had any particular problem going through this particular section. And so far, so good. Oh, and over the handlebars. A huge dive there for Bury Stander. Well, his front wheel just got caught up. Well, that's spectacular, and I don't know if we can see that again, but that was really, really spectacular for Bury Stander. He's lucky not to have done a collarbone or something worse there, because that was really full flight over the handlebars on a very difficult section. As we watch now for our winner, this is Nino Schurter. Very, very happy indeed to be coming across the line to take his third World Cup victory in his career. Nino Schurter for the Swiss Power Team, the Swiss national champion. Very, very happy indeed, and he did it precisely on the second last lap. 1 hour 34 minutes elapsed, and he's a very happy man indeed. He'll come play number 1 into World Cup round number 2. Nino Schurter from Spain. Well, fantastic ride by the former junior, under 23 and the league world champion. Julian Absalon acknowledging the crowd, coming in for a solid second place, grabbing a handful of points, a bag full of points, and they'll always come in handy when we get to round 7. So he'll be happy to pick up some points. There's some other races, some other battles left to on, and they can see great sportsmanship between these two protagonists. They both respect each other very, very much indeed. And what a great race. Congratulations to both of them. Really fantastic tactics and great effort by both of those guys. Well, you can see Nino Schurter is really suffering. That was a big effort. Big effort indeed. Down, not even warming down, straight down to the ground. So see it in gas from there. And we can see now our third place rider, Jaroslav Kulhavi. And here's a quick look back to see where is the world champion. And he's not that far behind. So Hamida did make a bit of an attack there on the last lap. And but it's just not enough to bridge the gap. So third place, solid podium, good start to the season for the Czech rider. And also for our world champ, really happy to move up to plate number 4 for the next round. And a great start to the season for our Spanish world champion, Jose Hamida, for the Multivan Merida biking team. Let's see what the facial expressions are on El Pistolero. And, well, now it's Marco Fontana. He saw the challenge coming from behind, and it was coming from Manuel Fumic, and he's had to sprint for the last bit. It really is coming down to a sprint finish for these 4 guys for 5th and 6th. And so these are teammates, so acknowledging each other, the 2 Cannondale Factory racing riders in 5th and 6th, acknowledging each other. Podium and 6th place and 7th there. Great ride by Lejarreta, in it all day. And there we have Tempier, who lost out in that trio to finish in 8th place. 1 minute 54 down. Really is quite close racing when you think of the gaps. It's not that too far back for these guys. And we'll round out the top 15 or so for you in World Cup round number 1 here in Pietermaritzburg, brought to you by Shimano. Manuel Fumic. Now they're waiting on Bury Stander, who we saw fly over the handlebars in the rock garden. He managed to regroup. He's obviously not had, well, it does look like he suffered there. So we have 8th place coming out. This will be Coloma. Coloma coming in at 9th. And the top 10 rounded out by Todd Rolls, who's ridden in the top 10 for nearly all of the race. Bar lap 1. And poor old Bury Stander losing out on that descent and finishing in 11th place. And he will be a little bit disappointed by that. He'll acknowledge the crowd, but he'll be very thankful that he's not not going to have a collarbone strapped up for next week. Very lucky. We're going to show that crash again because it was spectacular. Here we go. This is Bury Stander. The setup was fine, but you'll see the front wheel just gets jammed about halfway down here. There he goes, slot straight in and over the bars, those big 29er wheels catching there, and over he went. And he was very lucky there. Trees on the side of the track. He would have just seen that on the big screen as well. And not what you need, especially in the last part of the race. It really does rattle you, and the face tells it all. Barry Stander, well, he was on the podium here 2 years ago. Unfortunately, the luck not with him today. He did put up a valiant effort throughout the race. He fought the whole way, but a tough ride indeed.